Field of 68 Media Network. I'm your host, Dan Dickau, former Gonzaga player, currently an analyst hosting this podcast focused on GU hoops, and today's is a special guest, is someone who is still to this day is held in reverence by fans in Spokane, the big man in the middle, JP Batista. JP, it's been a while since you and I have seen each other face to face. It's great to see you on this Zoom call. How is life? I understand you're playing in Brazil right now.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Dan. It's a pleasure. Life is great. Just back home in Brazil, still playing basketball, still enjoying the game. Got two girls, family's healthy, everybody's doing well, so can't complain.
15 years now as a professional player. That's mind-boggling to think. You know, I had a nice run. A number of other Zags have had nice runs. I mean, John Stockton played darn near 20 years, and you're pushing year 15. How many more years do you want to play professionally?
And I, like you said, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy. It requires a lot of dedication, a lot of work, you know, preparation. And but we'll see. I still haven't set a date to when it's time to hang up. But body still feels good. I never had any injuries, major injuries. I never had any surgery, so my body still feels good. You know, I'm still loving the game, still motivated to play the game, and we'll see. It all depends on what's next. You know, if maybe I have an opportunity to step away from the game as far as on the court and professionally, maybe we'll see what happens. You know, if I get a job opportunity to start my next after basketball adventure, we'll see if that will determine when I'll be retired. But as far as now, you know, I'm still enjoying the game, still playing, still being effective. So we'll see. I still haven't decided that yet.
That's the biggest part of the answer that I got there is you still love the game. And if you still love the game and you're still healthy and you can still compete at a high level, might as well continue to play. So I love hearing that. Although you do kind of have, it sounds like, your eye on what's next for you. I have, the times that we've talked in the past and the way I've seen you play the game, I can only imagine that coaching might be in your future because of your high IQ and your skill level. Is that something that piques your interest? And if so, would it be professionally overseas, or would you have any interest in coming back to the States and trying to get started in coaching in college?
Sure. No, I still wanna stay around the game somehow. Definitely, coaching would be a dream for me. I think I can help a lot in terms of helping the young athletes. You know, development of young athletes. You know, my dream actually will be working with young athletes, not as much professionally. It all depends. I think for me, the background that I have coming out of Brazil, facing different cultures, going to US, traveling. I played overseas in Lithuania, France. You get to see a lot. You get to learn a lot. You know, different perspectives. GU has a lot of connection with kids coming out of Europe. You know. Germany, whatever, Asia. So for me, coming out of Brazil, you have a different view of things. You know, also I'm not as much as the personal side, you know, but also the basketball side. You know, I'm just kind of focusing more on a personal side of kids coming out of different countries and going to a completely different culture. When you have someone who understands where you came from, I think it's easier to adapt. You know, so when you walk into a program like GU, I think Tommy has done such a phenomenal job because he's done it for so long. When he starting off with Ronnie and then different kids coming up from overseas, I think, when you have someone who lived through that, and knows the family and know how things work, I think it's easier on the kids. So for me, I would love to get into coaching, but also being that someone who kids can identify with, someone who went through the same things that they went through. But definitely, like you said, being someone who could help out with the bigs, a big man coach, something like that. It's something that interests me a lot, but we'll see what's in store. We'll see what happens in the future.
I want to get back to, in a minute, asking you about the transition from Brazil to junior college in the Midwest before getting to Gonzaga. But before I forget, growing up in Brazil, was soccer your first love, and is that how you developed a lot of your footwork for basketball?
It's funny. Soccer was definitely the first sport that I played growing up, but it wasn't really my love. Basketball. I've been playing basketball since I was 9. I say I play soccer because all my friends used to play soccer. So you go out on the street and you play with other kids. But ever since I started loving basketball, I kind of was heartbroken because it's all they talk about here. If you love basketball, if you love volleyball, whatever, soccer is all they talk about on TV, on newspaper. And, back in the days, we didn't have social media. Internet was very limited to everybody. So to me, growing up, the only way I could get my fix in basketball was going through the newspaper, and newspaper all they talk about was soccer. So for me, I used to hate soccer growing up, actually. But and then I did a little bit of everything, swimming and track. But basketball was always my love ever since I was little.
So the name I'm going to throw at you next is a name that probably very few Americans know. But you probably, I'm guessing, revered him kind of like I would have revered John Stockton, Michael Jordan. Oscar Schmidt, one of the greatest players in international basketball history. Is that a guy that you used to look up to growing up? And then have you ever had interactions with him or been around him with national team stuff?
Yes, Oscar, he's the king. He's the all-time scoring leader, I think, FIBA, whatever. But here in Brazil, he's the top of the top. He's the GOAT here, and I did have many encounters with him. He's someone who was very special in Brazilian basketball. He's tough. He's a tough person. He says a lot what is on his mind. And a few of our NBA guys, Brazilian NBA players, sometimes don't get along very well with him because he's so patriotic, and all his career he defended the national team with such pride. And you see today with the league going so long with the games and during the off season, players choose to rest. And back in his day, he chose to play for the national team. And sometimes you have these clashes, between stars. But Oscar definitely was someone who I look up to, and he's still to this day.
So let's go back to your time now in the States, and in particular, your recruitment before you got to GU. You mentioned as if you were to get into coaching, a big part of your philosophy would be kind of making kids comfortable in understanding, the transition from culture if they come from a different country to the States. You were at 2 different junior colleges before Gonzaga, and Leon Rice kind of spearheaded your recruitment. Talk about what it was like being recruited by GU. What was the determining factor to come to Gonzaga?
Well, like you said, I went to two different junior colleges. I went to Western Nebraska Community College. The school got what's the word I'm looking for? They got there was some investigations by the NCAA, and they got punished, so they wouldn't be able to play postseason the following year. So I transferred to Kansas, Barton County in Kansas. And then that's when Coach Rice got a hold of me, and through my assistant coach, like you said, most of the phone calls, emails, Coach Rice did all of it. But I was also heavily recruited by Kansas, who was next door to us. A bunch of Big 12 schools, Nebraska. Tony came up to Kansas a couple times, to visit and talk. Back then, I didn't really heard so much about GU, and as soon as Coach Field came up, I think the guys were traveling. Gonzaga was traveling somewhere close there, and they landed real quick in Great Bend, Kansas. And Coach Field came and watched one of my games. And then I knew they were serious about it. And then I did all my research and then heard all about the history of the school. And one of the determining factors for me coming into GU was the opportunity to play right away. Coming out of JUCO, you only have 2 years left. And I was really, really focused on playing professionally. And so coming in and having a space to play right away for me was a determining factor for me. And also, as soon as I came for my visit to Spokane, and just the way that I was treated, the way that Coach Field, Coach Rice, Coach Lloyd, Coach Greer, and everybody treated me was that the family atmosphere that we all talk about. And so for me, it was a no-brainer. Just the way Ronnie was my host, and Ronnie has a persuasive side, coming out of France, a different culture, someone who I really enjoyed being with. And so for me, all that, made a huge impact on my decision to come to GU.
Well, you made a great decision. As I mentioned in the intro, you're kind of one of the most revered Gonzaga Bulldogs of all time. I also think you're one of the most underappreciated Bulldogs because your teammate at the time, Adam Morrison, was National Player of the Year, and obviously he was a lightning rod for many different reasons. He was a tremendous scorer. What was it like playing with and alongside Adam?
It was great. It was great, and it was different. It was challenging at times, but it was awesome at times. Everybody knows Adam today is a completely different person than he was back then in school. He playing with him, it was super fun. It was fun just to see raw talent, every day in practice, just the way that he was able to score, and just the way that we all played together. At the end of the day, we put everything aside and we played together, and we was able to leave those moments, that we will never forget. But it was a pleasure. It was an honor to play with him.
The next question and or memory I'm going to bring up is probably one you have relived thousands of times in your mind, and hopefully I don't kind of strike a negative chord for you. My senior year, we lost in the first round of the tournament, and it was devastating. You guys lost to UCLA, and I want to hear the step-by-step towards the end of the game from your perspective. My perspective, I was out with an injury in the NBA at the time. And I was able to go down and travel to the game. And I've told this to Adam before, and this will be my first time telling you. You guys had that game under control, right? I called the airlines and made flight reservations to move on to the next round and hotel reservations at halftime because it seemed like things were under control. So that was a frustrating, disappointing loss for me as a fan, and as a former player. Walk us through that game, and does it still haunt you to this day?
Definitely. I think when you end your college career with a loss, and you see every year, that happens every year in the tournament. Those heartbreaking games, uh, especially in our situation where we was winning the game, by a good margin. I think I can't remember exactly what was how many points we were winning by halftime. So towards the end of the game, I had the ball in my hands, and I during the preseason, I'm practicing, and me and Craig Portier, he was my guy. My 2 years, he was the guy who was I spent most of the time, and we always uh, uh, thinking about this moment. JP, we practice this because maybe you never know. So during that year, I think Derek Rivio was the highest percentage in free throw of the team, and I was close second. Close second. So I had utmost completely confidence that if they fouled me, I was going to the line. I was gonna make the free throws, and maybe seal the win. As soon as I get the ball, they trap, and I hear the coach screaming foul, foul, foul. So as soon as I as soon as I heard that, I held the ball, and I was waiting for the foul, and they ended up knocking the ball out of my hands. Derek was right there in front of me. I could just easily pass to him, uh, make them foul him, and then take him to the line. And after that, it was just a blur. After that, everything was a blur. They go and they score. They go up maybe two. I don't remember. But it was really heartbreaking, and it haunted me for a lot of years. But after that, you live through those heartbreaking moments so many times when you turn professionally. You lose so many games, you make mistakes, you lose games where you make mistakes, and then you end up getting through those moments. I think for the fans, definitely. It's sad, but for us, we need to get over. You just get over it, and you learn how you have to move on, and definitely we wish the outcome would have been different, and because we play for GU with so much pride, and we want Owens to win. But it happens. It happens. Losing is part of winning. So definitely, it was heartbreaking for me. But I don't think about that much. I think about all the great memories I had that year.
Well, you definitely created a lot of great memories during your 2 years at Gonzaga. I remember watching you closely. I remember talking with you shortly after that at Summer League in the NBA in Las Vegas. I think you were with Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, at the time.
Yeah.
And we had kind of talked about, you had hoped that you were going to get a legitimate shot at the NBA, but based off of size and age, it might not happen. And you seemed to be understanding and content at the time, and you were going to make the most of a professional career in Europe. You've done that 15 years or so that we've already discussed. When you look back now at those 15 years, what surprised you the most with your professional career in Europe and overseas?
What surprised me the most?
Yeah.
Man. Maybe just how much how selfish people can be. As you play, you go year after year playing with different guys, and then people. Obviously, you have to want to do your best, to get a job the next year. But guys, sometimes you just meet people who are selfish, and they not really look for that looking to get chemistry, looking for that family atmosphere who will get you winning. Guys who come in and try to get numbers, and you know, and my first year out was so difficult because we had three different coaches, and I was like, man, this is all about money. It's all about you have to produce, you have to be productive. You know, if you don't, you cut right away. So for me, my first couple of years, I was really surprised by that. Then, you know, guys, some teams they're really looking for players who do this, who do that. If you don't, you're out. Coaches, you got to come in, you got to win. If you don't win, you're out. So I was really surprised, despite the way the business works. And then after that, you get used to, you know, and you try to do your best every year. But for sure, those things kind of set the tone for me to always be ready, always be in shape, always be able to produce. You know, for me, that was one of the things that really shocked me the most.
With all your years in Europe, did you ever have any matchups with former teammates from Gonzaga?
I think I played against Pargo a couple times. Pargo, who else? I don't think so. Brownie, one time I think the league had the NBA had a lockout. When was the last lockout that the league had? I think it was 2010, 11.
It was right around there, yeah.
So Ronnie was in France actually playing for with his boy Tony Parker. He was playing on his team in Lyon, but ended up that we never matched up against each other because I think the lockout ended and then he came back halfway through the year. But that I can remember, I'd only played against Pargo in the EuroLeague 5 years ago. I watched maybe the first two games. I can't remember who they played. The other games was hard to watch just because of the time zone and the season he started. And so I've only been able to follow through social media, maybe highlights on YouTube after games. And but it's amazing, man. It's amazing. You know, I was listening to a couple of your podcasts before, and the way you guys talk about this team and how young they are and how talented they are. And preseason number one. Oof.
That's
pretty special.
Yeah, it's amazing to think what is continuing to happen in Spokane. Last question for you before I let you go, JP. I really appreciate the time. You had one of the most iconic moments on senior night, and senior night is coming up pretty soon. It's going to be really different for Corey Kispert this year with everything, with not playing in front of fans his senior year. Walk us through senior night, because I wasn't there, but I've seen the videos, and it was pretty dang amazing.
Yeah, man, it was every year. Someone tags me these videos, best Gonzaga moments, and so I get to see it every year. I get to cry every year because it was super emotional. Well, I had no idea at all. I haven't seen my brother in 3 years. You know, my time at GU was super special. I wasn't able to go home, and so apparently my girl, who today is my wife, did all the legwork, and they were supposed to surprise me before the game, but we was playing I think San Francisco, and it was a pretty important game. I think it was a final. I can't remember if it was in the WCC tournament or if it was regular season only, because we had the WCC tournament that year. We had it at home in Spokane. But man, I was just getting ready to talk to the fans, you know, and say thank you for the moments and for the 2 years. And I just heard somebody tapping on my back, and it's my brother. And I was so surprised, and it was definitely one of the highlights of my career at GU. Was one of those moments that you just can't. Every time you see it, you just get so emotional. But it was really special. It was really special.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that video is going to be circulating again in these next couple weeks as senior night approaches. So, JP, I really appreciate the time. It's been fun to follow your career from a distance. It's been a tremendous career, but also I appreciate what you have meant to Gonzaga and the basketball community here. I know you've been gone for quite some time, but when I talk to fans and I do the different broadcasts, your name comes up a ton, and people absolutely value what you did for this program. So from myself and from the Gonzaga basketball community, thank you, JP.
Yeah, no, brother. Thank you. Thank you for having me.